This is Reality TV, the classroom of life. This morning, I would like to have a short discuss regarding one or two videos that are making waves on social media platforms. A lot of people have seen the virtual video of an unfortunate incident that happened in Minneapolis where a police officer was seen standing or kneeling on the neck of an ethnic minority gentleman who laid on the floor. This gentleman's hands were actually seen to have been cuffed, and the police officer felt it necessary to kneel on his neck until he was non-responsive. Now, that this incident could actually happen in 21st century country is quite shameful, very demeaning, very scary, and very worrying. Having watched that video myself, I was taken aback by the injustice that was served to this man. It was as if somebody had taken it upon themselves to be the judge, to be the juror, and to be the executor of another person, taking away this person's civil rights to life. Now, how do I feel as a Black woman living in the Western world, raising young men? I feel worried, I feel scared. When you think about all the things that's happening at this time, it's not uncommon to see that the majority of young men in cars being stopped and searched, half of them are men, young Black men. When you look at the ratios of stabbings that's happening around, most of the people who are being stabbed or being the victims of gun crimes are young Black men. When you look at the ratio of shootings happening in America at the moment, most of the victims tend to be young Black men. Now you start to wonder what is actually happening. We don't have an answer to this. Some might actually say we do have an answer to it. It's a question that has been asked so many times across the decades, across numerous years, and across numerous constituencies. But we don't seem to be getting the answers that we need. Now, as an ethnic minority myself, I have actually come across racism in many areas of my life. I have come across discrimination in my work environment. I have come across people who just didn't like me because of the colour of my skin, or because of my accent, or because of the way I look. It's the same for young Black men. Now, when we start to think about every other areas of our life, is it justifiable that somebody will find it right to met out justice against another individual, another human being? What is being done about it? What are the authorities doing to address this? We can't continue to live like this. When we look at the ratio of the workforce at the moment, of the people that are actually passing out or losing their lives to this current pandemic, coronavirus, we actually see that there's a high ratio of ethnic minorities, people from the BAME group are the ones who are actually losing their lives more. Not because there isn't medical facilities to actually look after them, but it's because the care and treatment they get is not the same as other counterparts are getting, and that's a fact. When we start to look at the ratio of the treatment that our children, especially young Black men, are getting, it's not the same as their counterparts. That's a fact. When you look at the video, there's a second video actually showing a woman in a park with a dog, and there's an ethnic minority, an African American actually, walking about and doing his bird watching in Central Park. You could actually see graphically that the woman, a Caucasian woman, is saying that she is going to report him to the police. He's done nothing wrong, he didn't go near her, and she could be heard on the phone saying that the African American man was threatening her rather. Now, when you start to think about all these little footsteps, when you start to look at the patterns, the minute anybody else sees an ethnic minority or African American, they become threatened. Why is that so? When an African in a workplace, when they start to say things and start to assert themselves and show a little bit more confidence, it's termed as aggressive behavior. When the counterpart, who might be a Caucasian, a Chinese, whatever the culture might be, but it's different from an ethnic minority, does the same thing, they say they're being accepted. Why is it that lots of ethnic minorities get passed over for promotion? Not because of anything, it's just because they can't understand the accent sometimes. That's an excuse. Or because sometimes when they talk, it's a little bit aggressive and they find it threatening. Why is it that when an ethnic minority sits in an office, sits in a meeting and doesn't have anything to say and just bends their head down and keeps working, their body language is termed as being passive aggressive? That's because everything that an ethnic minority stands for, they feel threatened by. Half the time, an ethnic minority will work 10 times as hard to get to the same place that the counterparts will get to. Not because they don't know what they're doing, it's because they feel threatened by your presence. Can we do anything to actually make it better? What can we do to change the status quo? What can we do to change the narrative? Is there anything we can do? Without the support of the institutions that actually put us here, we can't do much. Our voice can be heard, we can actually sign petitions, we can actually try to do lots of rallies and conferences and things like that. But if we don't take our issues to the right places, they will not listen. And so it happens in today's world, in the 21st century America, in Minneapolis, that in broad daylight, somebody felt that they had the right to take the life of another person in broad daylight. Now, we watch, we stand back, and we want to see how justice here is going to be served. What is going to happen to the people who did it? Making them lose their jobs is not good enough. They need to face the full wrath of the law. They need to be taken into custody and they need to pay for the crimes they have committed. They took the life of another. No one has the right to take the life of another person. Because you're wearing a uniform, a certain power and control does not give you the right to take the life of another person. Racism, corruption, discrimination, it's rife in our society, it's rife in our community. What are we doing about it? I feel worried as a parent, I feel worried as a mother, I feel worried as an ethnic minority, as a black woman, as a professional, as a career-minded woman. I feel concerned that we continue to work and we can't see the dividends, we can't see where we're going because it's so hazy. Where are the policies? What are the governments doing about it? Who is going to stand up and stand in the gap for the people who cannot afford to actually stand up for themselves, who feel powerless and who feel that their voices are not being heard? We need to stand up and make a difference. We need to be saying no to racism, no to discrimination, and no to injustice, and no to corruption. That's what we need to be standing up to do. We need to be able to make sure that our voices count. We need to be able to say that I'm not going to take this, I'm not going to tolerate this, I cannot live like this. I want to be free of discrimination. I want to be free of racial injustice. I want to be able to walk on my street without being fearful of my life. Sometimes as an ethnic minority, I feel worried for my safety when I go into some certain areas. I feel concerned for my sons when they go into some certain areas or when they haven't returned home and it's so late at night. I start to worry for their lives. I start to worry for their safety. Nobody should have to live in that kind of situation. I'm just hoping that today we can sit back and we can start to think of how we can make a difference in our community, how we can start to make our voices be heard. If you see something and it's not actually happening to you at that particular time, then you can make a difference. Report it. You can report it anonymously. But the fact is, we need to stand together and have a united front. Say no to racism. Say no to discrimination. Say no to antagonism. We say no today, and our children will be better. This is reality 007, the classroom.